The new look RateMyTeam.co.uk website. What you're looking at the moment is the home page. And the first thing you'll notice is the navigation bar at the top, and that's on every page on the site. And you've got home, a players page, that's a pretty useful page. Build my team, and we'll come to that in a minute. Hall of Fame page, and an about page. Now, if you've used the site before last year, you'll know that what we normally do is you enter your ID in a box and then press enter, and we get your team and rate each player and tell you how many points each player should get each week. Now, because the season hasn't started yet, when it kicks off on the 13th of August, we'll be able to get your teams, but until then they're not publicly available. So what we have got instead is this feature called Build My Team, and if you click on that, you can gradually build your team. It only takes a couple of minutes. So we want Robinson in goal with Kenny, and who do we want in defence? Let's say we want Huth. So we're adding these players one by one. Now what I've got already, here's one I prepared earlier, up here, is a full team. And so we'll just dissect what all these numbers mean. So the first column is who the player is, the second column is the price of the players, and the number at the bottom is the sum of the price. So you see this team is slightly too expensive for the start of the season. And then this column here is the expected number of points for game week 1. Then this column is game week 2, game week 3, game week 4, all the way up to game week 10. And then that is the players' totals here. And this number right at the bottom is the sum of these weekly totals. And I'll talk to you about those later. So let's have a look at a few predicted numbers. So here we've got Lampard 4.2. So we're predicting 4.2 for Lampard in the first week. Let's look at another player. Morelos here's 0.75 for game week 1. That's because although he did pretty well last year, Liverpool have now bought lots and lots of midfielders. So there's a very good chance he won't be in the starting 11 come the first day of the season. So that's why he's got such a low predicted score. And Coleman here is suspended for the first day of the season. So then you'll see his points go back to normal after then. So who are our best players in our team? We can look in this column, total. So Lampard is pretty good because he's on penalties for Chelsea, and they're one of the best teams in the Premiership. And who's one of our worst players? Morelos. So what we can do is we can get rid of Morelos and see how that changes our weekly total. So remember, we've got 44.01 here and an overall total of 438.96. If we remove Morelos, you'll notice that 44.01 there we go, doesn't change, basically because he wasn't contributing into that week's total. So the way we work out these week totals is we take the best 11 players, that has to be one goalkeeper, at least 3 defenders and at least 1 forward, and we double the best player. So Morelos wasn't contributing, so we don't lose anything. However, we get 6 million to spend into our to take our team up to 100 million. So I know Martin Petrov costs 5.5, so I'm going to add him. So he's Bolton midfielder. And remember 44.01. Our first week total goes up to 44.72. Presumably he's taken the place of someone else. This weekly total is actually a slight underestimate. And I'll explain why. It's because it doesn't take into account the fact that if your players in the first 11 don't play, they can be auto-subbed out. So there should be a rough small boost, equivalent to roughly 1 or 2 subs per week. So that's quite good. A nice thing we've added this year, suppose you wanted to get a wild card in game week 2 or game week 3, you can choose to look at what the options would be from game week 2 up to game week. We can even go up to game week 12. So let's have a look at that. Last game week 12. There we go. So we can do that. We can get rid of all our players. We can add players in, and yeah. I suppose we're stuck for ideas. The thing we do is we can go to the players page, which is full of all the players in the game. and it puts them all in one big table and orders by total. And the nice thing about this page is we can actually order by these columns. So game week 1s, game week 2, etc., total, price and value, they're the columns we can order by. So we can see who's the best player for game week 1, and let's look at that. And it comes out as Tevez. Now, interestingly enough, Tevez might well move. Aguero might come in. But for the purpose of the website, we assume that the players will be there. If and when he might move, we will change and update the website accordingly. Equally, Nzogbia has come up very high. That's because he has Norwich at home on the first day of the season. So Wigan are quite a relatively attacking team, even though they're not very good. And he's their strongest attacking player. So let's have a look at game week 2. Lampard is the man you should captain game week 2, and he's very good at game week 3. And we'll look at the fixtures to see why that is. If we look at the fixtures, game week 1, Chelsea are away to Stoke, and Stoke are very good defensively. But game week 2, Chelsea are home to West Brom, and West Brom aren't very good defensively. And then game week 3, it gets even better. Chelsea are home to Norwich, and Norwich are one of the worst defences in the Premiership. So that's as good as it gets for Lampard. So we can order by total, we can order by price, and we can order by this thing called value. So value is defined to be total divided by price. So let's see who the best value player is for game week 1 up to game week 10. And we get a lot of goalkeepers, basically because they're good value. They're all good value. So suppose we wanted to look at just midfielders, work out who good value midfielders are. It comes out with Dyer, Petrov, Sinclair, Moses, Albrighton and Zogbia. Now, we've only got a budget of, say, 6 million. So what we can do is look at max price 6 million. And actually now, because we've got a budget, we're not that interested in value. We might be interested in total. So we order by total. And Sinclair comes up top from Swansea, Walters, Brunt, Barton, Penn, Petrov. And all these players are very likely to play for their respective clubs and are quite key attacking contributors. So what we can do is we can reset, and that goes back to the original table. We can choose to look at a particular club. So suppose we wanted to look at, say, Liverpool. You'll see that Suarez is the best player to have in the first 10 game weeks. Again, you can change which game weeks you're looking at, so you can go from game week 1 up to game week 5 if you wanted. Let's do that. And you can order by price, so who's the most expensive Liverpool player? It's Gerrard. He's not very good value, but he's okay. There's a lot of very expensive players this year. That's pretty much all the features of this. We've got min price as well, max price by position. And we've got this thing called Hall of Fame, which is, you'll notice that number 1 is a guy called Kenneth Tang. He's performed exceptionally well in the last 5 years. He came in the top 800 last year, 132nd the year before that, 150th the year before that. According to, we basically rate all the managers that play the game, and he's come out top. And you'll notice that Chris McGurn, who came first last year, is 8th in our list. And yeah, to qualify for this Hall of Fame, you had to finish in the top 30,000 last year. So that's just an interesting feature. We thought we'd add it because we had the data. So, and then last thing we've got is the About page, which just tells you a bit about who we are, what we do, and how we do it. So. That's the end of the tour of Rate My Team. I hope you enjoy using the site this year. And remember that from the beginning of the season, you'll be able to get your team rated very quickly just by entering it in this ID box and hitting go. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.